A clash of Counter-Strike titans. Some more weaker than others. That's right, more weaker. Vocabulary on point for day one here in Dallas, but we do get to see a little bit more from SK Gaming. They made a roster change that shook the Counter-Strike world. Many scared we'd lose the Brazilian flair that was taking over Counter-Strike, and indeed yet to see whether they can bounce back. Going up against them, the Swedes, who are all too familiar with the loss of glory and now have actually found themselves quite the firm footing in the European Counter-Strike scene. It's SK versus NIP. And I have Chad and none other than Jacob Pimp Vinegar. I give him the full name because I've only just learned how to pronounce it.
You like saying it.
It feels good.
Can I do this, Alex? I'm surprised no one's done one yet.
Go on then.
Yeehaw! No one's yeehaw yet.
I was saving that.
What?
Yeah, I was going to do a big, like, first day offline. I'm going to come in with a, you know, like...
Raise your cans in the air. I want to wear a cowboy hat, so if someone could hook me up with one of them, that'd be nice. But the biggest talking point here, Alex.
I really set the scene, and you've kind of derailed it.
I'm sorry,
you've
nailed
got on the
that.
train, and then what you've done is you've just kind of like turned it off the rails. You've derailed what I was doing there.
Yeah. Well, Cold Zero in-game leading now. Now let's talk about this, because this is one that upsets me greatly.
Oh no.
Fallen is the reason that Counter-Strike is in the position it is now. He is the kind of guy who led the Brazilian scene to being quite dominant. He seems, to me at least, the person who inspired the theory side of CS, coming from a region where, sure, you got it better to talk about the game than just keep running into the same bad teams over and over again. And these guys, you know, they look so good with their system. I hate the fact they moved away from their system, and now they've added Stewie. Now, obviously, Stewie's a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong. The guy is an absolute beast. He wrecked me in the show match. Now, I felt it firsthand. I felt it when he was playing and coming up the ranks. But within this team, the way that it worked, they could have just adjusted little bits and pieces with Taco in the squad and still had a very successful unit. Now they have Cold Zero in-game leading. He helped a lot with Fallen in the server throughout, but...
I don't actually know how much of that was a duo,
That's
to
true.
be fair. Like, I mean, we often attribute it to Fallen, and he does the interviews, and that's kind of the face that's portrayed. We don't actually know what's happening in the TeamSpeak of the server.
Exactly, but the problem here is Cold Zero is up in the discussion for top 3 player in the world, right? Simple is by far the best player, and then Nico, Cold Zero. You know, there's always that argument at the moment. If Cold Zero's performance drops off, that means Stewie's needs to be fantastic, Bolt needs to be a solid rock player, and Fallen needs to get it done with the AWP.
What do you reckon, Jacob?
I think it's stupid.
I like, you know,
succinct.
It makes it so easy because I know if I'm thinking like, oh, I probably shouldn't say that. I just asked Jacob, and then he.
I think it's really stupid. I didn't like this Stewie 2K pickup initially, as you alluded to. Why? They had a system that had a functioning 5-man unit, and it was only 3 months ago they were the best team in the world and winning every single LAN final.
Wasn't it Taco? I feel like wasn't it Taco that said he wanted to leave, or is this one of like let's?
Yeah.
Why are we all pulling that face? It could be true.
Yeah, lots of things could be true. Santa Claus could be real. The Tooth Fairy...
Hey. Tooth Fairy is real.
Spoiler alerts.
Every time, put the tooth under the pillow, every time money. You can't, that's science. That's how science works.
Problem for SK is they're gonna become one of those teams that are gonna keep making the mistakes that we see all the other teams do. Gambit, for example, changing in-game leader every single tournament they go to. They don't win it the tournament. They come back home and say, oh, Hobbit is now in-game leading. Then they come back from another tournament. Oh, it's Doja this time around. And like it's gonna keep circling around. And Gambit, it's not working.
I want to get ahead of all of this. I'm going to raise my hand, and I will say that I buy into the SK mantra. I get the, like, you want to be like just kind of watch it all burn and crash and everything.
I don't think we're saying they can't win tournaments. I just think we're saying that SK is not going to be the same dominant force as they once were.
This is what I'm saying. I think admittedly, I am the first person to say I really disagreed with the whole Stewie thing. Like, that's just because I was very comfortable with the Cloud9 guys, and SK was so very reliable, and when it came to good Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
What's wrong, Chad?
No, nothing. They're whacking the vetoes up.
I don't care. Maps are not as important.
No, I agree.
Yeah, let's just carry on talking about the interesting stuff. So, SK Gaming, I think changing in-game leader, bringing in a North American, trying to learn to all communicate in English, I think admittedly there will be a huge drop-off of results, but I also think that they will come full circle and we will see SK on the top again. Not necessarily, I don't know if with this roster maybe we'll lose a Bolts along the way or whatever it is, but I think, thank you, but I do think that this SK project will work in the end somehow, because it always does. Fallen kicks, or whoever kicks, whatever player, they always seem to land on their feet eventually.
Sure, I think if there's an overhaul maybe of 1 or 2 players at some point and Fallen goes back to in-game leading, we might get there.
And FNX is back, and we've got Kaboom Esports is back, ZQK's back in the roster.
Anything like that is possible, but I just don't think that this SK roster, exactly like Jacob said, is going to be the dominant force that they once were.
At all?
And
Never?
Probably not.
Okay, that's sad.
It sucks to say that because I really like the way that they play CS.
Yeah.
Or played CS.
Well, I'm glad we could have this conversation. We haven't really talked about NIP at all, but the game's starting, so...
well, Ninjas are going to win, so...
Are you going to win?
Yeah.
Jacob?
I think SK is going to win this one.
Oh, okay.
Yes!
Cool. He bought into it.
There it is.
Alex sold it to me.
Did it?
It's going to be that dominant force, and Fallen obviously going to be the greatest AVPer now that he's not calling, and Cold0 going to be the best top-ranking in-game leader in the world. We've seen him in-game lead now for, what is it, 2 weeks, and he's been absolutely horrible online, so we look forward to it, Alex.
I think NIP are going to win this, despite my monologue. Let's jump in. It's the Swedes versus the Brazilians and Stewie 2K. It's time to see how this one plays out on Inferno.
Bit of a redemption chance here for SK Gaming coming into this matchup. They had a really poor performance at IEMC. I think it's fair to say that's not what we want to see from SK Gaming, but now up against Ninjas in Pajamas, well, they need to start this tournament off a little bit better than they did the last.
Yeah, the scary part for SK is that NIP's been on the rise. They've been playing much, much better. This is an intimidating NIP. And look at this, the skill players. Dennis Forrest trying to push down mid. Draken holding top. Banana, that's a great headshot. He's going to fall away. Stewie is down for the count. And Get Right now going to rotate back towards the A-bomb site. Good initial hold here, baiting into Rez, who's just lying patiently at sandbags. And no pressure coming from SK quite yet, but some gunfights being exchanged.
Yeah, just trying to continue to put a little bit of damage into the Ninjas in Pajamas. But for now, we're into the eye of the storm, although perhaps I spoke too soon. Fur's going to try and take a duel. Rez is consequently going to be able to find another pick there for Ninjas. And into a 3v5 now as NIP decide to, again, slow things down, which is exactly what they need to do. And SK Gaming, they need to figure something out now in this pistol round, see what they can do into that A-bomb site.
It's going to be a retake on this A-bomb site. Forrest and Dennis playing very far back, and these two players with distance, with space, they both love open fights, especially Dennis on these pistol rounds. We know how good he can be, but NIP not willing to challenge with such a man advantage. They're just saying, we'll play the numbers game. You can get into the bomb site, you can get the plant, but we're going to win the round. Two players over at B haven't moved just yet, but they're going to start coming in now. Interesting plant spot for Fallen as the smoke covers him. But this is dangerous still for NIP, despite the man advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Now with that bomb down for SK Gaming, Cold0 being able to find a kill, there's a chance here for SK to pull the rug out from underneath NIP. As NIP now to make their way into the side. Another Angel goes the way of Cold0, and this is starting to look a little bit dangerous. NIP, they're not finding the picks that they need, and Cold0 is coming up absolutely massive right now. That's 4 kills for him so far, and he needs just one more. Rez charging into the bomb site, does just manage to find the kill, but there's not going to be any time for him to work with here, and Bolts should just easily be able to shut this one down. That's exactly what he'll do, and NIP, they will be disappointed with how that one has turned out. Cold0. What a way to start that map off.
Yeah, that is disgusting. And you can see Cold0, when you're in that kind of position, you no longer need to in-game lead. You're playing with instinct. You're playing off your teammates as well. And he's just taking straight up aim duels with that P250. And those are even better than USPs, the long range. And he's shutting far too many players down. I don't mind the call from NIP to play retake. But when you're picking off Get Right when he's over and Cubby on the other side, when you're picking off these players before they're even getting into the bomb site, NIP didn't have any way of getting close and really closing that gap. A big, big win, a big recovery for SK from a 3-on-5 into a pistol round victory. That is huge, and that might just set the tone for this game.
Yeah, well, for SK Gaming, if that's a bit of an insight into the future, a metaphor for IEM Sydney to Dallas, then who knows what we could see out from this lineup coming into another new tournament. It's another new leaf here for SK and NIP. Well, they've started off the round okay. First gone down. The gun not retrieved by NIP, but a player advantage is a player advantage, and NIP won't be too disappointed with that.
We've seen this story before, just in the previous round. We'll see if NIP can build upon this. Get Right has used his smoke over towards the B bomb site relatively early. Rez still has one, but they don't really have enough smokes to delay into any kind of a emergency territory for SK. Only one smoke left on Dennis. That's towards the A bomb site. He can rotate over to throw that, but all of SK is going to hit this bomb site as soon as this smoke clears. They have the timing on it. Here comes their own nades. Stewie, of course, going to lead the way as CT spawn as coffins are blocked off. Here's the flashbang follow-up. Only 2 players here to defend for NIP, and Rez has been forced down. Stewie's got the opening kill. That's all they could ask of him. And Get Right now pushes out, using the smoke as cover. He's found a new position.
Dangerous position as well, but Cold0 decides to shut that one down. Get Right has dropped. And for NIP, that might have been their chance gone. It's begging. Dennis hits a nice shot, though, onto Bolts, and they're still an opening here for NIP. They still have that player advantage. We'll see if they can convert it here as they, again, find another kill courtesy of Dennison. What on earth? He just finds all three. And NIP, they come back with another round.
That's really well done, especially from, I believe it was Draken who was flanking up Banana and actually spots out Fallen over towards Water in the grill out in the open. There's nowhere for him to go, and Draken just baits him and just kind of freezes him in that position and just shows himself and makes Fallen respect the angle, but doesn't actually take the fight. 1-1 as NIP respond and kind of redeem themselves for that pistol round 5-on-3 that they managed to let slip away. And SK, though, with the plant, they're going to have some money, and they're going to invest into this. But Dennis, we say all the time, the pistol god, and he does it again. 4 kills for him. That is a really nice performance with the CZ, showing its deadliness and its effectiveness in different scenarios. So AK is going to be out on Cold Zera, 3 CZs, and a UMP on Stewie.
Well, that AK is going to be the one to watch here for SK. The nade stack out from NIP does quite a bit of damage over to Fallen. But he's still alive, still a gun in the game. And there's equally dangerous response there onto Rez. So, all's fair in love and war. We're back to even Steven.
Banana control established by SK, but they're not going to do anything with it for the moment. Leave Stewie to kind of lurk it as he kind of falls back to join his teammates. Cold Zera obviously calling the troops back towards mid, wanting to apply pressure on multiple different points of the map, make sure NIP is guessing where they're going to be hitting. So smokes towards top mid on each side. Going to deny information to anyone playing aggressively as Cold Zera sneaks up behind it, clears out the boost. And NIP now has no knowledge of whether SK is taken brackets or whether they're at Banana. So Get Right's got to stay honest towards this B bomb site, and now you can kind of start to see the footsteps are going to give away the game. Dennis is going to get aggressive, trying to find information. No one's watching for this, and he's going to give up the fight. Gives away his position. It's Bolts to turn the corner with that CZ, massively aggressive, and now Forrest and Draken have to hold down the fort.
Big rotation coming across from SK Gaming as well. The bomb is in Banana, and while NIP is doing work on the A site, SK Gaming have decided that that's not where they want to head. And Stewie, just sitting in that smoke, wants to push on through, but there's still the anchor on the site. It's a great shot though, Stewie. Opening things up, this grenade might just be enough. Get Right, only able to find one. But with 17 seconds on that clock, the Molotov slowing things down, and now Draken, having rotated across, NIP should be able to close this round out. Barring a magical play out from Bolt, he needs to get the bomb down here and will force the peak, but he doesn't have much time left. Decides another fake is the play, and it almost was. It almost was. Forrest just gets the aim duel. But that round a little bit too close for comfort for NIP.
Yeah, it really is. They just barely managed to scrape themselves out of it, and it'll be curious to see what Cold Zera decides to call, how aggressive he wants to be to keep the pressure on the economy of NIP. But those 2 kills from Drake and really secured that round for NIP. Allows them to keep Get Right over towards the B bomb site. Actually doesn't really solve any of the problems as they all go down towards that B bomb site, but the fact that he's able to really prevent any further damage from the fate going on at the A bomb site, really holding down Rap side as well, preventing a 2-pronged attack on the B site is huge for NIP. And they'll get an easier round. Cold Zera gives up the pressure early, which I think is the smart decision, or at least the
safe decision.
Yeah, you can't really argue against it, can you?
Risk versus reward. It's low risk, low reward, but it'll mean that they can get the buy through in the next round. And if they get a bomb down here, it's going to be really nice for SK, though. Seems like that is going to be a little bit of a far-fetched idea at this point, as that is a complete wipe, and that's exactly what NIP wants in a round like that. A few kills over for them, no guns lost, and a nice bit of economic stability forward for them.
Now, one thing SK was known before they've kind of hit this downturn is always being able to figure out solutions. And what we've seen from NIP so far in these first 4 rounds is they have a lean on this A bomb site. They always want to make sure they have Rap side secure. They put a lot of attention there towards the pistol when they had that 5-on-3. They gave up the bomb site, just making sure they don't take any damage from Rap side. They've done it on a couple gun rounds now, so they're more than willing to put multiple bodies. That previous round, 2 players there to take the distance duels. And will SK be able to take advantage of that? Will they be able to find some kind of attack that's able to punish all the emphasis there? Good spam, Cold Zera, and Draken eats a couple bullets right through the wall.
Yeah, they weren't particularly tasty, I would imagine. But that was one of the SMGs, or the SMG for NIP. So I guess if you're going to lose a player, you probably want it to be the SMG in that kind of a scenario. Still, though, it's an advantage for SK. Not something that they have had too much of in the first 4 rounds. So we'll see what they can do to make use of that.
Mid-take from SK. 3 players there. Fallen, Cold Zera, and Fur. Pretty dangerous trio of players. Stewie's been forced to be passive by an early dink through the smoke. He's back on T-ramp watching for flanks. But they've got Fur in a good position that can really lend itself to his playstyle. His never-ending and relentless aggression, and also his ability to read the game. The timing of his aggression is also important.
Yeah, well, Fur's in a good spot, but so is Rez. So right now for NIP, there is a fair chunk of information, and with that 3-stack, it's a good crossfire setup on the A bomb site. If SK Gaming decide to actually hit the A site, there could still be an unwelcome surprise ahead of them. The other option is to go around the world into the B bomb site, but that doesn't seem like it's what they want to be doing right now. As Fur opens things up, and Fallen also chiming in with a kill for himself, and that's not really how things wanted to go for NIP. They're going to lose their final player as well as Stewie. He's waiting for the push from Rez, and that's a good response from SK.
That's a great response for SK, and actually I think SK was probably surprised that there was no kind of defense mounted on Rap side that time. Fur was able to creep up the whole way, 3 players watching over towards lane, and even though Get Right does go down to Fur on that flank, you know, SK had no troubles handling the other 2 players who were watching exactly that. There's the beautiful spam, and this is it from Draken's point of view. You feel kind of helpless in that scenario,
And
don't
what are
you
you going to do, really?
Yeah.
Nothing. Die.
Well, here's a buy from NIP. It's scrapped together. Double op setup. Draken and Forrest going to have those. 2 Famas and an auto shotgun on Get Right, but there's not a lot of nades.
It's a very weird buy for NIP, but might be just the kind of thing that can catch SK Gaming off guard here. And Draken opening up on the kill onto Fur at least gives away that there is a purchase here for NIP. But to what extent, SK Gaming still not yet aware. Exploring Banana a little bit.
Right, Forrest has support. Rez is just holding a smoke out, waiting for that shot from Forrest, and he'll be able to drop his. Get Right, this is the danger position. He's going to get close up. Bolts just misses the timing, and Get Right is on the hunt. He might be able to get a free kill. Just out of his vision. Get Right's got a decision to make, and Bolts, if there's even just one mistaken footstep from Get Right, Bolts is going to have the idea.
The same can be said, though, if Bolts makes a move here and Get Right spots him out. I guess at this point now, this kind of range, he's probably not going to get anything done with the shotgun, but he does get the information there, and the positioning that he does now have as well is going to be quite critical. He'll be able to shut down the rotations, or at the very least come up behind them in Banana and be that big problem. Mosquito in the backside for SK. Rez does well on the B-bomb side, though, and maybe they don't even need that wrap to come in. NIP holding strong. They're not allowing anyone to get anything done on the B side. And in the end, Get Right, he's rewarded with an AK for all the running he's done.
That's just a typical Get Right round. That flank that he pushes up in, and he never gives up the game at all. He just walks the whole way. A lot of faith in his teammates to be able to hold off that hit, but basically helps win the round just by the information, even though he doesn't fire a bullet. The massive amount of intel he's able to gather is huge for NIP to be in the correct positions. And at the end of that, SK just doesn't have enough utility to really force Forrest away with that AWP, and he's going to pass his over to Rez now. 4-2 for this defensive side. And Draken's gonna challenge down mid, but he's flashed away. Nice timing. This is faster pace from SK. This is much more convincing early on. No presence over towards Banana. Rez and Get Right are here, but here comes the mid push. One pop flash and Draken misses the shot.
And is he going to get across the A site in time? Well, that kill from Draken might just help him out. In the end, Dennis is going to come in for the trade. If he would have gone down as well, it was real problems for NIP, but even still, with that bomb site now secured by SK Gaming, the bomb going down and a 3v3 for the retake, there are problems abound. That's a great shot, though, from Rez. That might just stabilize things enough for NIP to get anything done in onto this bomb site. However, they will have to slow things down. The smoke's causing some problems for them, and they need to figure out now where SK Gaming is hiding on this site. And with an AWP, or even a double AWP, retake is going to be quite problematic indeed. Time might have just ticked away too much here for NIP. Rez is going to find a frag, but I just don't think they got enough time to work with. Bolts has been spotted out, and he gets the kill, and in the end, Rez tries to challenge, but he goes down as well. And that was a touch-and-go round for both sides. In the end, goes the way of SK.
I don't think NIP was actually going to go for that. I think they were trying to secure SK Gaming, staying as close to the bomb as possible and hoping to get them both to die with the explosion and then fall back and save the double op. But that kill from Rez through the wall onto Fall and kind of forced them forward. They're like, all right, we got one. Now we just have a 2-on-1, and obviously saves the day. SK able to take the win, and again, another scrappy buy out of NIP. You can see just pistols, that auto shotgun on Get Right again. Some utility to work with, but SK, if they can win this round, if they can take the economic advantage away from NIP, which they've kind of already done, but they just need to secure it, then they'll have a very good chance of running up the score a bit on this offensive side of the map.
It has been very backwards and forwards so far. As of yet, neither team has really found that advantage that they need to kind of run away with this half. But you're right, this is the chance now for SK Gaming to start to elevate themselves to something a little bit more impactful than what we've been seeing so far. And NIP, they will lose the first player as well. Draken going down early. A lot more room to maneuver now for SK. And get right with that auto shotty. The biggest investment of this round hasn't really been able to have the impact.
Saw it close towards Boiler last time, this time over towards that B bomb site in support of Rez. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of hope in this round for NIP so far. Dennis over towards the bomb site, Forest and Pit, using some utility to delay a little bit longer, buy time for Rez to get in position. But again, he's all alone on Rap side with the CZ, trying to hold off against any bodies that come at him, and Dennis might just come through the smoke here and sneaks his way in towards Boiler. I think they spotted that though, and they certainly do now as Fur gets dropped.
I guess they mustn't have spotted it, because Fur would have surely been on the ball had that player been spotted. In the end, this is starting to look a little bit dangerous actually for SK Gaming, as a few kills come across for NIP, and the timer's not really working in the favor of SK anymore. They've got 25 seconds. Rotation did come across from NIP, but it's floated back over to the B bomb side. And Forest, if he would have hit one more shot there, it could have been real problems for SK. But coldzera and Stewie, they'll be good enough to open the A bomb site up. Get right. Well, the chances of him getting anything done here are slim to none.
It's really interesting to me that SK actually makes the call to wrap around towards that A bomb site. 25 seconds left, gives the time to go over towards B, and obviously they killed Dennis and Forrest, who both had a kill, so you know their locations. You know they're both at the A bomb site, so SK actually chooses the more challenging route, but they win out the fights anyways. I think Forrest was thinking along the same lines as me as he jumps out of the pit to maybe try and get a jump on that rotate over towards the B bomb site, and he's caught out in the open. That helps massively.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have been able to play a crossfire there with Dennis, then, again, SK could have been walking into a very sticky situation, but that's not how it ends up. And so SK come away with the round. Especially
because that pit with the Deagle, it's so easy to just take like a quick shot and get into cover and hide, and you can buy a lot of time. You can tag up the damage for Dennis with that AK-47 to kind of swing out and find a follow-up. So a dangerous call from SK, but it pans out, and now NIP, they only have that auto shotgun to work with, and I think everyone else has to pretty much save everything they possibly can.
Yeah, so this is what we were talking about for SK, where now they have that opportunity to build themselves a pretty nice T-half here. Obviously, they should be getting a fairly free round now, but to be able to get up to 5 on your T-half this early on in the piece is a really good sign. It's obviously something that we didn't get to see out from Renegades, and it's going to obviously put them in a good spot heading into the second half. But they get 5, they get 6. Anything past that is going to be a real bonus for SK Gaming. They're already starting off quite nicely here against NIP.
It's Bolt's leading the way, interestingly enough, for SK. 10 and 5 for him. Fur's stuck on 1 kill, so he's been quiet so far on this T side of Inferno. He's currently holding down mid. Bolt's watching for any A-holes pushes, and banana control completely in the favor of SK, as no one from NIP challenges with just the USP and the one P250. This is where that auto shotgun starts to make you feel a little bit silly, as there's nowhere that you can really rotate into position properly. Smokes out at the B bomb site. All of NIP is here. I think Stewie's going to challenge, and they're going to be more than happy to just abandon him if he gets into a tough spot. This is just a scouting mission. And Stewie loves these, not spotting anyone quite yet, walking close to the smoke, spamming the boost, finding the initial headshot, going to go for more. Spins for another, and this time it's just deathmatch, but there's way too many bodies, and SK kind of committed with them, probably more than they initially wanted to.
Regardless.
Yeah, they're going to win this one anyways.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much. Obviously, they lose a couple of guns, though, which is going to mean a Galil and an AK in the hands of Dennis and Rez. Fur just watching for this push into Banana, which, in theory, should deny any possibility of NIP coming up with this round. But right now, what SK is trying to do is get those guns out of the hands of NIP. That's exactly what they should be doing right now, because that economy is very poor on the CT side. Any little advantage that's given over to NIP does allow them to come back into this one potentially. And SK do have the money to work with here to try and hunt. They can't throw away all 3 of these guns, but if they lose one, it's not too big of a deal, because they get a couple of these guns away. But Rez doing a good job of holding onto that AK. He's not too keen to let it slip, and Fallen's decided to let him have it.
That's a really good round from Rez, actually. I don't even mind SK going for the chase on that one. I think Fur is going to feel a little bit frustrated. His woes continue. Does get 1 kill, but he really walked into a bullet that was meant for Fallen. Regardless, those frags, I mean, there's a lot of rebuys for SK, and their money is going to be low. So, I mean, even with the advantage, even winning 3 in a row, SK is on the verge of or they're pretty close to being completely reset in this bye from NIP. So not the worst spot in the world for the defense to be in, all things considered, even being down around, as they call it, timeout to talk things over. They really need to get something figured out for this last third of the half, I guess it would be. Yeah,
it's been a super competitive match so far, really. Like, I still don't feel like either team has managed to kind of pull ahead as much as they would have liked to. Obviously, SK, they had a couple of rounds now in a row, or 3 rounds in a row, like you say, but it still feels like NIP has a very good chance to come back into this one. I just don't think that SK is in as much of control as they would have liked up until this point. That being said, coming into this one, we probably would have said that SK are not necessarily the favorites.
No, but it is still hard to go away from them when you see the names, and I mean, you know, coldzera was the best player of probably the previous 2 years, or at least the most consistent, and he's kind of dropped off. Fur isn't having that kind of trademark performances. He was, you know, last year you probably could have made the case of that he was maybe the most impactful, if not the best player in the world. And even Fallen with his opping. All these individuals for SK seem to have dropped off as kind of a, I guess that'd be a symptom of this kind of this team dissolving slowly over the past 6 months or so.
Who knows, though? It could be a bit of a rebuild phase that we need to see out here from SK Gaming.
They have been dominant for 2 years. I guess it's not totally unfair to be like, all right, you guys can slip a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Form is never permanent, but it's going to be a question of how SK Gaming can play with this new roster if that kind of form is not necessarily there for all the star players, and whether or not they can bring that form back. There's always still opportunities here for a roster like this. You can't count them out, like you've said, but this might just be the first little building block that they need. Get a good result here.
They're lining up for a nice big hit out of these halls. Even coldzera with the bomb was there, and it almost feels like they called it off because of that smoke. Fur is still in position, so are Bolts and Stewie. Cold's going to come back to it. Fallen watching the flank. They have no indication of going towards the B bomb site at this moment. Force is going to be under a lot of pressure, and it might be up to Draken to help him out just enough to allow him to survive.
3 players on the site for NIP. 35 seconds for SK Gaming as they make their entrance, but Forrest does open up onto Stewie. It's the info that there's another player above him, and so far NIP really holding quite strongly onto this A bomb site. Dennis tagged fairly low, but he's still alive and still a problem for SK Gaming. Just Fallen left alive now. With the CZ, he can certainly open this site up. He knows that Dennis is low and just needs that one more shot, but he's only got 10 seconds left here. He doesn't have control of the bomb, needs to try and get that one. And that allows the rotation to come across from NIP. And as soon as this bomb plant does go down from Fallen, we're going to see the peak from NIP. They will close the round out 5 apiece. And that actually ruins the economy of SK as well. So despite all those rounds in a row, they haven't managed to get a good enough economy to get 2 gun rounds in a row.
You go back to like what 2 or 3 kills that Rez gets and that losing effort in the previous round and the impact those are going to have. That's actually huge. As he's able to do just enough to force enough purchases out of SK that they're now just kind of stumped in terms of their economy. They're going to get a quick reset of the round, as I believe that coldzera purchase of the shotgun doesn't make any sense.
Probably unintentional, but you could make an argument here for SK Gaming. Okay, aside from obviously the shotgun, we've got Fallen there with 5k. Ninjas in Pajamas, they don't have a great economy right now. There is a possibility that SK wants to force into this.
This is where the conversation around coldzera as this new in-game leader, though, is kind of going to be that question of, does coldzera yet have the confidence as an in-game leader? Does he have, I guess, does he have the balls to make a call like this, to go for the buy? Because that would be a big risk of your economy down the stretch. Once again, we saw him make the safe choice earlier with the economy. I think he's going to have to do it again here, because this is a really big risk that you're able to have, even with the economy of NIP kind of at a little bit of a breaking point itself. I think if anything, you go for a half buy on someone like Fallen, have him drop some pistols, some light armor over onto like Bolts and Stewie, and you see if you can get 2 to 3 kills in this round, and that should be the goal.
Well, there's been an AK purchased here. It's going to be in the hands of Fur, which is an interesting decision for me. Obviously, we've mentioned that he hasn't been having the impact so far for SK. It's really been Bolts.
Yeah,
first it was Bolts.
First still stuck on only 2 kills, but obvious faith. I mean, what's the old basketball thing? A shooter's got to shoot, so you know, if you give the AK over to someone like Fern, even when he's having a bad game, he's still going to go for the same kind of plays. The confidence in these guys is at a huge level.
Well, SK Gaming have been successful in getting control of Banana, and they haven't really expended too much for it. Just the one incendiary. I think a flashbang was thrown out there as well by SK, but quickly into the B bomb site now, and Fur and, well, everyone's going down right now for SK Gaming, aren't they? Rez having a good impact with that AWP. coldzera will get the AK and get the kill, but still enough damage has been done here by NIP that they should be able to just close this one out now, barring some big plays out from Fallen. And obviously coldzera, both of them have a weapon in their hands. The smokes will allow the plan to go down. Oh, coldzera He survives on 1 HP, but now they need to try and hold off. It's just Fallen left alive. His position now given away. It's taken down as well. NIP, I mean, I didn't mind that decision actually for SK Gaming. It's just the execution wasn't quite there.
It was actually, I mean, that round is a lot closer than it actually shows. The fact that GetRight puts out a late smoke, he wasn't expecting that kind of an explosion that quick into the round, and he kind of misses the timing on that. So he was maybe just a half second away from getting taken down, but he actually wins his fight. So does the AWP from Rez inside that bomb site, and they hold on initially well enough. But that was, yeah, maybe about a half second away from disappearing. And my problem with the call like that is, it obviously looks great if you win it. You're like, oh, we love these cold calls out of SK, but now it just kind of looks a little bit silly. Now they have another save round. That's 2 rounds you've now given up with kind of weaker buys. And that's not to say that they're guaranteed to lose this whatsoever with the Deagles on the board, but you don't accomplish nearly enough. You don't do great damage out of the economy, and even that bomb plant is enough of a victory to warrant that kind of investment.
No, I would agree with you on that one. And that also allows NIP another easier round here. They just picked up a 4-player round win, I suppose you could say. And this is another opportunity for NIP to build up that CT economy heading into the late rounds of this half.
But see,
SK needs to be aware of.
This is the buy that I thought should have come out in the previous round. You just have the Deagles, and this round is probably an investment with multiple AK-47s, and you're doing good damage to the economy. You gotten 2 kills, 1 more would have been great. It's not going to happen, but you know that's the kind of element of danger you're able to bring in without damaging your economy too much. And now we're going to get SK back onto the AK-47s.
In saying that, SK's up to 5 rounds already on the T side. It's not too bad for them so far. So I can see the sense in going for a bit of an aggressive purchase there, see if you can maybe turn this into something absolutely massive, but it's not like it absolutely kills their half.
No, it doesn't.
So this next round here, pretty important actually for both of these 2 teams. If NIP do drop it, they'll have a buy through.
Right on the
maybe,
edge.
actually. Maybe not. It depends on how many guns they're able to save through, but this round could dictate how the rest of the half plays out.
Well, we'll see. Stewie's going to lead the way up Banana. Smoked out deep. He's isolated from his teammates. We know that doesn't necessarily bother him, and here he comes, turning for a flashbang, waiting for any kind of a peek from NIP, and it might just come in. GetRight, the Shadow gives up the game. A good win from Stewie there. The follow-up flashbang is going to yield him a second. Great teamwork, and now he presses the issue. A 3rd player, Dennis, trying to freeze him into the open, but he's falling back in towards the B bomb site, and this should be enough. Now SK can slow down the pace. They've got a 2-man advantage. A great banana take from Stewie.
Yeah, and well backed up by his teammates as well. The flashbang to come in was excellent. And that's 2 opening frags for SK. What they needed, they spot that player out as well on the B bomb site, so they know that there was 3 over there. The information not quite as relevant anymore as the rotations will be coming into effect, but NIP, they've read this situation not too badly either.
This is where you get into what can they bring into the next round, and this is the real reason why this call is being made, is they know their economy's on that breaking point as well, so they're saying, you know what, we're going to stack 3 players to be bomb site. Chance to win, and if not, we can save all 3 weapons and have another solid buy. Look how aggressive Drake and his flashbang forces him off, but there's Dennis with the kill, and Forrest is going to spam through the smoke, but out in the open, Dennis is dropped, and Draken, a great flick.
Yeah, very nice flick indeed. It's not enough to stop SK Gaming from getting into the site, but they've decided to back off and go towards A, leaving Fur there to cause some problems for the remaining 2, and this might be a masterstroke actually for SK. It's going to allow the bomb to go down very easily, and Fur might yet find these last 2 kills as well. He gets rid of Draken at the very least. He suspects Forrest as well. That's a great round for SK. Getting rid of all of the guns.
Yeah, leaving Fur in that B bomb set as they fell away was kind of the checkmate move to make sure that NIP, all the guns were taken away. And now, you mentioned that buy was going to be dicey if they're not able to save anything, and I think that's the conversation NIP is having now. Do they want to invest here? And they do. The op is dropped over. UMP, 2 M4s, and GetRight. Ever the he's been very vocal about his transition into a more supportive role rather than being a star player, and he's going to be the guy stuck on the 5-7, smoke and a kit as well.
Wow, this could make or break the NIP half now. I mean, this is an opportunity for SK to get up to 8, and NIP, they would be probably a little bit disappointed actually if that were the case. They've been looking, I would say, more in control than SK have throughout this half so far. But might be just pips to the post at the 11th hour.
Look at all the pressure being applied, and this is all being done just to allow Fur. He's sitting in the smoke right on the other side of Drake, and this is a very tense round on the edge. All this utility used by SK to get Fur into position, but I think Forrest was actually watching from pit, so he's got the idea. Fur's found his way through, though, and it's Get Right just with that pistol. If he'd had something more, might have been able to win it. But now Dennis and Forrest, they're feeling very isolated, very alone. Mobility is restricted, and it's all on Rez.
Yeah, he needs to come up with 2 kills right now, and Fallen is good enough for the trade, which means NIP find themselves in a very precarious position now in round 14. Bomb's going to be going down on B. Forrest is stuck on A. There's still a player, maybe even 2, that he has to deal with here, and he doesn't even know that Fur is on the site. Just Dennis left, and he's being spotted by coldzera. 7 apiece, and NIP going into the final round of their half.
With nothing.
Exactly.
That's not the best feeling in the world. I feel like this half can be like a study on like economic decisions and what it kind of what kind of decisions it forces you into and what kind of decisions you can make with different money. There's been a lot of cool economic positions that both teams have been put in, and we've seen them take both risks and go the safe routes on both sides. Yeah. So 7-7, and we're going to have a handful of pistols on NIP to try and battle against the AK-47s for the lead in the first half.
Definitely has been a really backwards and forwards first half. You can't come out of this one saying, oh, I think X or Y team is going to win. It sets us up for a really, really interesting second half here. But at the moment, we're expecting to see 8-7 for SK Gaming, which is maybe not what we would have expected earlier on in the piece, but they've definitely managed to find a way. And that was something you were talking about earlier on, was how they would adapt into this kind of a matchup. They lost a few rounds in a row, but they always seem to be able to figure out what's going on towards the late stages of that half and make something happen.
And they're just another one of those teams that's just so dangerous in pretty much any round. Even when they have kind of the weaker buys that we talked about, they can still find those 2 or 3 kills that can kind of cripple a purchase later on, deny a smoke, deny a kit over to the team. So every single round from SK is just high stress. Dennis and Forrest over at the A bomb site, Drake and Get Right over at B. Here comes Fur, gonna lead the way at a boiler, clearing top mid. There is a player right around the corner, Dennis against the wall with that CZ. And he's gonna start peeking for information. I don't think he spotted anything.
Well, Dennis has been a bit of a maestro with the CZ. We've seen at least throughout this first half so far. He's had a couple of good rounds with it. So SK definitely don't want to be resting on their laurels here. Don't give Dennis the opportunity, the opening that he needs. Forrest with this Deagle as well could do some damage, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. One player goes down. The bomb spotted as well here by NIP. So the rotation is coming across quite quickly from the B bomb side, and SK Gaming, they'll have to fight their way into A. Forrest comes up with another one and has an opportunity for more, but Stewie will shut him down. And SK Gaming starting to stabilize as they find a few kills. Just Get Right left alive now, and he can't get anything done. So SK Gaming, they'll close out the first half 8-7, and well, not much to really make of that first half, apart from the fact that both of these 2 teams are pretty closely matched right now.
Yeah, that's a pretty even half, all things considered, but obviously on the T side, I think you got to give the advantage over to SK. A very good half put together by them as they work their way around a lot of dangers. And NIP going to be on the back foot. It started out with this, the incredible pistol round from coldzera, coming back in a 3-on-5 with that P250, but more than anything, that just seemed to be a half of just struggles of what can you get with the money that you have, and both teams being able to make it work when they needed to, and both teams kind of collapsing at different portions as well under the weight of the money.
Yeah, definitely an important factor, particularly now for SK Gaming, moving on to their CT side. You want to be, obviously, taking good control of the economic game. More so when you're on the CT side than when you're on the T side. It's a more punishing side. So that's something for SK to worry about here. But they're in the lead right now, not by much. They'll be feeling comfortable, though. And this is definitely better than what we saw from them at IEM Sydney already. So, you know, on the up and up for SK. And it's weird to say that, I think, is as a concept.
It's been a couple of years.
Yeah. But they're definitely, I think, coming back into things a little bit.
How can you doubt someone like Fallen, even if he's not the quote-unquote in-game leader, the ability to kind of make a lineup work? He's proven it time and time again. Look at this Get Right watching the flank. They're all going to walk into him. There's the peek. They turn away. It's a stack here for NIP. But Stewie's going to kill both of them. How's that happen with the CZ? The spin and the frags. And now it's NIP once again on the back foot. And that hurts.
That looked like the perfect setup, really, for NIP. They read the situation well. It was definitely... Oh, hello. Dennis is not going to let you get away with that one, but might not end up hurting SK too much. Has fallen there for the trade. 3 versus 1. But yeah, that was the perfect setup, really, for NIP, and it just goes nowhere.
I don't understand how it happened. The Glock is just like shooting BBs.
Yeah, I would love to have seen that from Stewie's point of view as well. I guess he must have sprayed down the player on the bottom and then lined him up, but...
Well, there's still danger. Forrest with the USP, and he's got some distance between the other two. Now he spots both of them right through the boards. It's going to be Fur to end it before it begins, and there's the man. Double kill for him as he gets tagged up trying to flank, and GetRight even asking for the HP as he's confused as that kill didn't come out with 2 players stacked up.
Yeah, that was just, I don't even know what I was watching there. I was perplexed.
Here we go. Oh, I hate that gun.
Classic.
7-9, SK in the lead by 2. They've got the SMGs. Investment, though, from NIP. They don't get the plant down, so they want to fight for this round, at least cause some damage. We'll see what they can get, and maybe a chance with these SMGs.
Yeah, a bit more aggression out from SK again into Banana. Something that we'll see whether or not that continues through into the gun rounds. With the exception of Banana, though, SK not doing too much across the rest of the map. The A site, they're quite content to sit back, play passive, which is fair enough. And then NIP for their own right, not doing a whole lot just yet, waiting to see if there is going to be any of that aggression out from SK.
Nothing yet, but now they're going to run right into it. Stewie, that's the bomb down as well. Stewie's got a teammate with him as well, and he holds on the trigger, can't find it. Fallen's pushed up, though. Exposed himself to danger, turns from the flash, finds himself one more. That's not bad for the SMGs, and good trading from NIP as well. A 2-on-3 scenario.
Pretty important that Fallen actually gets that kill there as well. Had he just dropped, NIP can burst out onto that B-bomb site, might even get there before Fur has actually fully rotated across. But now for SK, having found that kill, getting that extra time for the rotation, looking a little bit more comfortable in this round. That being said, NIP can still make something happen. Fur is a sole defender on the B site, so if he goes down without finding a frag, NIP will get control of the site. They'll find an M4 as well. They might still be able to make something happen, but slowly and surely, NIP make their way into the site, checking not all the angles that they need to, as Fur will be able to close things out. Good timing, good patience, and SK put up their 10th.
I like that positioning, the aggressive positioning from Fur. He sees that second smoke coming in towards Coffins and just walks right in front of it before NIP turns the corner, gets into a position they don't expect. Even the Molotov, you have that decision. Do you throw in the back right or the back left corner? And that goes away from Fur, so helps him out massively, and he denies the plant, which is pretty big for SK. 10-7 now as they've kind of they stabilized through that second round, through the danger. And NIP gonna have to fully save into this. I think Forrest has a P250, and that's about it.
Not the kind of a buy you want to be going into a round like this in. SK starting to take control of the map, up 10-7, most likely up 11-7. The economy building up fairly nicely as well. Obviously, Fur's fully brought down to 0, but they've still got a few SMGs here for SK, and if they can get those to work in this round, things are going to be a little bit more of an uphill battle for NIP as they get into their first gun round, or they start to get their way going into this second half.
I think this is one of those rounds they kind of take it as an extra timeout in a way. You can see him being very passive. Not a whole lot of elements of danger on this round for NIP, so they're just going to sit far away and talk some things over and try and figure things out. Want to make sure everyone's on the same page for that first gun round so they don't have to use one of those precious timeouts. Forrest dueling with the P250. Not going to win as well. And now Coldzera is in position to build up some bank, spraying around the corner. Double kill for him. Another one. Finding the third. Yeah, reads the play perfectly from GetRight.
That is a lot of cash in the bank for SK. 3 kills out onto the SMG. And so Coldzera up to 7.1. And for NIP, the buy is going to come through here. But they're going to need at least 2 rounds in a row to reset the economy of SK at this point, unless SK fully invests into this round. But right now it's looking like they're going to be going for a bit of a bonus, hanging on to the SMGs.
They're going for a massive bonus. 3 SMGs on the board for SK. If they're to win this round and convert some of those into AK-47s for free, that it could just be all over at that point. Then if you're NIP, you start having to win, 3 rounds before you break the economy, and that's just not something you can really realistically expect. 3 players, the top banana for SK initially, Fur, Fallen, and Stewie, using some utility, some presence to apply pressure and kind of deny some kind of banana control. Forrest does have it up towards the half wall. And now Fur's rotated back towards A. He's going to be pretty aggressive on that wrap side. He had a quiet first half, but he's starting to build up into this game. 10-12 now. At one point, he only had 1 kill about 7 or 8 rounds in.
And was having a lot more impact towards the late stages of the first half as well, which is where we started to see SK coming in with a few more rounds. And NIP now scratching their heads, figuring out what they want to be doing here. But this is a very, very important round in the grand scheme of things for NIP. Not so much for SK, because they'll be able to get the buy-through next round anyway. But a lot of pressure here for NIP, whether they know it or not, and that's a great opening. Forest spamming through the smoke. We'll get rid of Fallen. That's one of the rifles as well, but it's been picked up by Stewie, so no real harm done as far as the buy is concerned, but player advantage for NIP, that is definitely something they'll be happy with.
Not by much, though, and obviously SK doesn't know the Force is at 4 health, but that's going to be an easy double kill, especially for one of those SMGs just spraying through smoke or spraying with mobility. Fur's going to be the one tested on Rap side, and when does he turn and check this? A nice shoulder peek gives him the information before he commits, but 3 players inside the bomb site for SK. This is a really, really testy defense, especially with these SMGs at long range. There's good shots on Dennis, but it's not going to happen, and now the AKs come in. They don't expect bolts to be there, but what can you realistically get done if you're him? And Stewie's just got to bail out.
Yeah, he had an opportunity for another frag there. He was looking at a low HP player, but transferred his spray across a little bit too early. In the end, I mean, it's not too big of a deal, really, for SK. They would have loved to have gotten at least a couple more kills out of that, particularly given how low a couple of those players are. But the buy is still going to come through from them next round, and that's really the important round then for SK. This one was just a chance, you know, try and find the needle in the haystack. Not managed to do it this time, but they still have a lot of rounds to play with.
I can't think of who that was inside the bomb site against those default plant boxes with the SMG watching Rap side, but Fur really kind of screwed him into a position where when Fur falls back into the bomb site after he can't take those fights on Rap, it falls on that SMG to watch Rap, and it's like, well, this is probably the worst area that I have to pay attention to. But I mean, even so, Fur taking a re-peek like that into those kind of angles when NIP was already halfway up would have been certain death for him. So fair play. It's just a tough situation, a tough call to make in the heat of the moment. That's okay, though, SK. That, like we said, the bonus round, so it doesn't really hurt too much that they lose it. It does grind down some of the money to put them onto the verge of having nothing, but still a very strong buy coming out here. You can see a double op setup being purchased by coldzera and Fallen. We know how deadly that can be, and good utility on everyone but Fur.
Yeah, that's really the only thing that's lacking for SK is that utility on Fur, but with this double AWP, we'll see what they can do. Perhaps some aggression out of the AWPs. At this point, though, it's just going to be, of course, Fur pushing up in apartments alongside Stewie. And Bolt is there as well. So this is a big stack into apartments from SK, and it works out very nicely. Get Right goes down. They'll have time to rotate back into the bomb site as well. NIP not busting out onto A as a result of that information.
That's a big chunk of the map, though, denied by SK. Even Molotov's going to be thrown down. They want to split this B bomb set. It looks like Fur's on the other side, and it somehow misses those shots. Dennis is able to get the entry, and now Fallen and Stewie, they've got decisions to make. They know they can be wrapped upon right now, so Fallen's going to go try and hold that defense, and SK doesn't have any response down mid either, and this is just NIP hitting the pause button, and maybe they're going to be frustrated that they did as Fallen's able to find one as he slinks back to the B bomb site, and now Rez and Dennis stuck between 2 ops, and they have to make a play somewhere.
Almost looks so good for NIP, but Fallen makes the correct play, makes the right read, and now NIP, they have to try and figure out what they can do here. Like you said, 2 ops to deal with, and coldzera holding the perfect line right now. If Dennis peeks out, he goes down for sure, and that's exactly what happens. Now it just relies on the remaining 2 NIP players, but they're going to be walking directly into a crossfire player in pit. That's a great shot from Rez, though, and Draken also gets bolts. So all of a sudden, the A bomb site is open, and we're into a 2v2.
That is nasty shot. That opens things up. Somehow SK have really put themselves on the back foot, not able to contain that good kill from Stewie coming through, and it's all on Fallen. We know he can do it.
I have no idea where he managed to find that kill from, but now Fallen in a 1v1 definitely can do it here, but he doesn't know exactly where Draken is, and the timing might not have worked out too well for him. He gets the shot across, and he certainly has time to defuse that bomb. A great round in the end out for SK Gaming. Well, I say great. They have only one gun alive, but the way that round was going, it really was in the balance for a long time, so I think they'll be happy to just come away with the win.
That shot was so dirty on top of the hay cart. That was really nice in the coldzera. You have to remember as well, you know, that's the first round that NIP, that SK had the double op setup, so NIP had no indication. So Dennis just walking out through library is more than willing to take that duel against an M4. He's saying, I'll be able to tap away at that. I have the AK-47, I'll have the chance, but not realizing coldzera just has an op trained on the location, so he goes down easy, but still SK somehow managed to win that in a tough scenario. That brilliant kill from Stewie coming through the smoke as well. 12-8, but NIP still with a chance. Stewie and coldzera both on $0, Bolt's on 50, but Rez caught with an 8 in his hand. He was burning. He had to put it out, and that exposes him to the M4 as Fur continues his aggression, and look at the damage.
Yeah, that last round certainly has done no favors to the SK economy, but this one could well do so as Fur's just done so much damage over to NIP. And then NIP will slow things down a little bit here, but now they have a real difficult round ahead of them. See what they've got for us on the A bomb site. Certainly setting up for something. The smoke does go down. The flashbang's out as well. But SK, they know that they've managed to get some work done in this round, and now it's all on the shoulders of NIP to try and drag their way back into it. The info is given over to Bolts, and Incendiary to come down to slow things for NIP. That's exactly what they want to be avoiding right now. coldzera looking to find some kills, but NIP, they're the ones making things work right now. Stewie has come across, though, on the rotation, finding himself a kill, and Cold still holding on to the pit. The bomb goes down for NIP, but they've lost many players in the process.
Oh, that's a great nade, Dennis. No HP, but an immediate headshot. That's big on a Cold. He gives himself some safety. Stewie's next up and crouching out. He finds it. Knows Draken is in the pit as well. He sees that drop and Fallen walking in. He's got an AWP. Might want to transition out of that, but he's going to go for the peek. Headshot from Draken, a one-on-one. Low HP, 6 health, and he gets it right before the smoke plumes. Brilliant mobility inside the pit is going to keep NIP alive.
A very important clutch out there for NIP. Good. Well, I should say, goodness me, this is really starting to go down to the wire. I mean, you feel like for a moment SK Gaming is just going to run away with the rest of this half, and then NIP pull around like that out.
It's getting scrappy, I think is the best way to put it. That one, I think it was coldzera missed the player getting into the bomb site. I think it might have been Rez or Draken who was able to hit that shot on Bolts, who was playing at the broken wall. That was a huge kill. That allows the rest of the team into the bomb site, allows the bomb site to be secured for a plant at the very least that coldzera can't stop. So an awkward timing on the flashbang for Cold, and maybe not able to find one player sneaking through the site really sealed that in a way. 9-12 is NIP, and we're going to get investment out of SK. You can see them buying up now. Pistols and Afamas talked about some of the economic decisions in the first half. This is a very, very risky one for SK.
Yeah, but they do have 3 rounds to play with. If this one goes awry, you know, we probably see ourselves back at 12 apiece. It should be a double eco out for SK, but it'll still be enough rounds to work with for SK if things do go awry here. See the plan for SK, a bit of aggression up into the apartments, and the nades as well get rid of Draken. So, not too bad of a start for SK, that's for sure. This is what you want when you've got a buy like this.
So Stewie jumps and baits him into that shot, so he gets the information of where Draken is, and then they just bomb him. All the grenades come in, and they take him out. That is a really well set up strategy for SK to get themselves a man advantage in this round.
This might not work out too nicely, though, for SK. They're looking for the info, and Get Right is going to be able to deny any sort of damage done there by SK. Gets rid of Bolts, and Fer is alive. Does have the FAMAS still. Manages to get out. Find himself back towards the A bomb site, but he's on his own with only a FAMAS, and with only 27 HP, there's just nothing that he can get done there. And NIP walk into the site. At this point, SK, the decision to save probably wouldn't be a bad one.
No, probably wouldn't. Obviously going to want to get some of these guns, and that op has been taken away. It's on the hands of Rez, and he's dropped the AK-47, and Stewie can see it next to the bicycle.
He's not very happy about that one.
No, he's not at all. Trying to shoot it and bounce it off the wall, that's not going to happen.
Need a grenade. Even then, I don't think you can get it out. But that's worked out exactly how NIP would have wanted it to. Fallen might find a kill here, but not quite going to be able to manage that. So
this is where it feels really uncomfortable that SK actually fully invested into this round. The one kill that was cool onto Drake, and you can see the idea of the follow-up, pushing down in towards Halls, the double peek, but Get Right is focused throughout the entire round with the SMG, finds the kill, massive damage onto Fer, and they're able to really punish him trying to fall back into pit. And now if you're SK, you save one more, and you're going to have a buy after that, but it's, again, going to be sketchy. It's going to be right on the line. So that 3-round advantage that they had just a moment ago is looking very, very suspect at this point.
Slimming, and not the good kind. 12-10 could very well end up being 12-12, and then again NIP is well and truly back into this one. But it's an economic game now for both of these two sides as we start to get towards the pointy end of things. Whichever team gets a bit of a bonus or a bit of an advantage at the opportune time could end up closing out this first map, and that obviously puts the loser down into the lower bracket to face either Optic or Astralis.
Ooh.
So that's a bit of a hefty ask as well.
That's a cool game going on as well, Optic versus Astralis. Some of the Danish meetup. Yeah. Well, NIP firm control of the map so far. There's nothing really SK has to bring into this. They do have the P250 on Stewie, the CZ on coldzera. Those are the only two weapons really that can get them clean kills. And Bolts is feeling mighty useless, I think, over at the A-bomb site. Just hiding in Graveyard USP, even if he gets into a fight, he's not going to want to take it.
Yeah, it's a P shooter at this point. But SK Gaming do have a lot of players over on B here, and Stewie gets a nice pop flash out from one of his teammates. That's I mean, it's a start for SK. It's obviously not going to be able to net them too much. They're not going to be able to retrieve that gun. But even still, it's a kill. Looks like NIP has read the situation quite nicely, though.
Well, yeah, they're closing in on Bolts. Not long for this world, so it will be an 11th round for NIP as Rez takes him out. The shot's giving away his position, and there's no real stage for SK to battle with. The entire goal now is keep that AK-47 on Stewie, keep it alive into the next round because you're going to need it. We said their next purchase is going to be right on the edge. That AK-47 is going to help out in a big way, at least with one player able to have all the utility you'll need. And those are usually the things that decide these games down the stretch. 11-12, NIP has climbed back into this game. They're on a little bit of a mini run. It's going to be 3 in a row, but it's going to be 4 of 5 won by the Swedish side.
Starting to get a little bit precarious here if you're SK. They were definitely in control, but now NIP's making it, or tipping the balance just a little bit. We want to see what kind of a buy SK is going to be able to get through here. The AWP can come out, but I don't think it's likely with Stewie being the only one to be able to afford it. Oh no, he's got the armor from last round, so all right.
That's not bad. Drop the AK over to Fallen, you get the op. Although, I mean, here's the thing. Both Stewie and Fallen have similar styles of opping. I mean, you want to talk about Fallen, all the plays we've seen him make. They both have that high impact, that playmaking style of opping that can be so confusing and so tough to play against. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of a luxury. You get to pick between the two of them. Obviously, Stewie winning out this time. He's going to be over towards Banana. There's the nade. He spots the hip, and he takes out Rez. An angle that Rez did not expect whatsoever.
Yeah, a little bit of an off angle, and it works out for SK. That's exactly what you were talking about. Stewie being able to make that play with the AWP and opening things up for SK here. But even still, if this round goes the way of SK, NIP have got a lot of money in the bank. So pressure's not really off SK, even starting off the round nicely. Even if they win the round, they still have to do a lot of work to kind of get back in control of this map.
Stewie's still at a very aggressive angle as well. He's going to be very susceptible, as you can see, to the flashbangs. That one's going to make him a little nervous. He's going to fall away. They've got to get in different positions as Stewie's going to be smoked off, certainly over at Coffins. Now they know there's an AWP at this bomb site. Fallen close up as well. There's a Molotov that he can put out to buy some time for Stewie, but here comes all the smokes, all the flashbangs, and Stewie's blocked off. It's Fallen isolated in the bomb site. Actually, Stewie pushes forward. He's still got a chance, but NIP's been held back. Great counter nades, and Stewie's going to strike.
This is just majestic, really, from Stewie. Unfortunately, he gets shut down, but even for SK Gaming, that buys quite a lot of time for the players to come across, and Fer is already at the B site. The remaining two, anchoring A, now making their way across, and Draken, that was a shot that he needed to hit. Fer goes for the aggressive challenge as well onto Forrest, and doesn't quite manage to get the kill, but he puts him low, finds the 2v1 there for SK, and they should be able to close it out, which they do. coldzera, a nice shot, and Stewie just, yeah, like, that kind of aggression and that kind of a play, NIP not ready for it.
Oh, that was great out of Stu. Just those 2 kills. All they needed, the opening, and just one more as they enter into the bomb site. And still it got a little bit sketchy for SK. They're going to save both ops. They're going to have a double setup now. This is going to go back towards, we saw it on Fallen and coldzera. We saw Stewie obviously handling it, so it's going to be Stewie and coldzera. But the nice thing for NIP, they get the plant, they get those 3 kills. So behind the ops, there's not a lot of money, even though they saved them into the round. Fer's at 1,000 and everyone else is below that. So still NIP has a chance, even down 11-13. They have one advantage in the sense that they can just destroy this economy, prevent buys from coming out on the SK side for a couple rounds, and they can kind of slingshot themselves into a lead.
Yeah, exactly. This map is definitely not over at this point, but the next round, if it goes the way of SK, really is going to be putting themselves in that controlling position. NIP, they still have the money to play with to buy into the next round, especially if they get a bomb down or especially if they take a couple of guns through, but this is where things start to get a little bit worrisome for NIP. If they do lose this round, that's now SK Gaming in striking distance. So a hugely critical round for both teams heading into the potential final few rounds of this half.
No, this can decide a lot, certainly. We'll see. Timeout called, and it's ended, and so is freeze time as we get to see what exactly was discussed. If anyone's going to bring out any kind of a crazy strategy, some kind of early aggression. We haven't seen the Ops B2, we saw it again with Paz and Nifty in the previous map. They like to peek down mid. We haven't seen that too much out of the Ops on both of these sides. Not willing to risk that kind of 50-50 duel down mid towards T-Ramp. coldzera with one of those Ops is playing very passively right from the start in Graveyard.
Yeah, certainly been a little bit of a difference in as far as the AWPing styles do go. But SK, they've just set Stewie up on the B-bomb site, not even in a very forward position. I mean, he's still holding back closer into the site rather than pushing down and getting all that information on Banana. But that has allowed the full rotation across. There's 4 players on the A-bomb site right now for SK. And NIP headed in that direction. They'll have a rather unwelcome surprise ahead of them here as Bolts gets one. Fur comes in from the cutout to 5-2, maybe even a third, but Fallen in the end will bail out that final kill. Draken, he's thinking, where did the rest of my team go?
Oh, that call hurts for NIP at this juncture. Such an important round as well. You make a call to go through the smoke at 1 minute and you get obliterated. Fur and Fallen handling you so easily. And Draken's got to find a plan. He's got to at least find 1 kill, it feels, as well. Stewie's not going to let him get this bomb down. He'll continue to challenge. Here comes the plant. Stewie going to move forward? No, actually, he doesn't challenge. So we've got the flank coming in, and they're just going to play the economic game. Stewie's going to shut him down immediately afterwards. And for all we talked about the money of SK not being good, not being built up, to survive with all 5 players is a godsend for SK down the stretch of this map.
Yeah, absolutely. And for NIP, it really puts them in a position now where they kind of have to think. Obviously, they do have the money that they can use to purchase into this round. But this might just be their last purchase. If they don't win this one, I mean, they've lost a few rounds in a row, so the buy, they could possibly force through in the next. But this is, it's starting to look a little bit dire right now for NIP. SK is really getting in control again, up 14-11. And this really, to me, now feels like the last chance for NIP.
You know, that's a great way to phrase that. This kind of is the last opportunity for them to get to stay in this game. They've been so close a number of times, never been able to bring out the advantage. Forrest is eyeing that smoke, and it's not actually going to spread somehow. Looks like he might have been standing on the only pixel on his tiptoes.
Yeah, well, a smoke is a little bit of an advantage that NIP now have, that they might have otherwise not. Even still, there's a lot of work to be done for NIP. And Dennis with only the CZ, well, we've seen some magic out from him already. But this is such an important round for NIP.
Tough part is SK has done a very good job with this double op setup out on the board. They're just letting the ops take that initial action. They want the ops to take those first shots when the hits come in. Stewie's been great at finding that first kill in the crazy, like in the beginning of the rounds, and then even when a hit comes into that B bomb site, he's been able to find at least 1. Same with coldzera over towards A. We don't really see a plan out of NIP at the moment. They're running out of utility. 1 smoke, 1 flashbang left, and they still haven't done anything with it. So how do you make progress? How do you neutralize 2 ops if you don't have smokes and flashbangs to give yourself a window of opportunity? Sneaking Dennis in towards CT spawn is one answer. That's going to pull Fallen back, as I think they have the intel, but maybe not. Fur's not considering library whatsoever.
The timing there, very interesting. Fallen just a little bit too slow to spot out Dennis. So this whole round could really come apart for NIP if Dennis goes down, and that's exactly what happens. With 20 seconds now, they need to make their way into that B bomb site. Fallen already on the rotate back across from CT spawn, and Stewie just holding down the line with the AWP here. No smoke into CT spawn either. This is looking so bad for NIP. Stewie, he just needs 1 more. That might just shut it down, but in the end, he'll go down. And it's a 3v3 for the retake. SK Gaming, now they've got the hard work ahead of them.
That's sneakily a phenomenal, that's a great shot. Rez just shuts down Fur, but that is a great plant spot right in front of the box that Stewie is hiding behind. He'd have to commit so much to try and stop the plant. You could see him playing for time, but Rez, another test in front of him, and he somehow transfers over. That's maybe purchased a lucky bullet there in the chamber. 14-11, but it's going to be a 12 for NIP. They still survive.
Well, this story is not yet fully told. NIP, they're writing us another chapter here. Oh, the money for SK is not really there. NIP's going to put themselves up to 12. So what do we see out here from SK? Will they purchase I mean, they should probably be able to.
Yeah, they're definitely going to. They can get Fur can have a solid buy. They're going to drop the op over. coldzera could have dropped a UMP or a FAMAS. He doesn't actually go for it, but they've got a good enough buy and everyone else to make this work. It's Fallen who's going to be put back onto that FAMAS. You can see there's Rez with a kill, and actually he gets them all down the stretch, doesn't he? Finds coldzera as well. Found the jumping shot earlier.
Seemed like the perfect setup really for SK. A great crossfire, but NIP hitting their shots and making their entry into the site look really, really good. And they're still in this one, 14-12, but a chance for them to come back if they win this round. Puts SK back onto an eco. Every single round it feels like I'm saying the exact same thing. This round, so important for both teams.
It's been on the edge like this for some time, and this is one of those games. This is why we see it so back and forth, because every team's playing for a reset at all times. It makes things tense, and the players and the teams know it. coldzera and Fur setting up that crossfire in mid. The standard one on each side, one under the balcony, one in the cubby. Bolt is going to be there for aggression. They want to hold on to this. The round comes down to this battle. Trey doesn't come in quick enough, and there's coldzera striking around the edge of the smoke. And again, NIP, 1 minute coming through a smoke on such an important round. They've done it twice now, and they've lost both of them, it looks. Get Right and Drake would have to win a 2-on-5.
Tough ask, really, for NIP. And I'll be honest, I thought that it was Fur that got the 3-man spray down, but in the end, he gets 3 kills anyway. Drake going down to Fur, and Get Right, well, in a 1v5, you can't really expect too much. coldzera with the headshot as well, just to put the cherry on top. And it's 15 up on the board for SK. The buy through for NIP, unfortunately, having won just the 1 round, is going to be a little bit lackluster.
I think that's the thing down the stretch. NIP's had their chances. Just some of this play calling has been suspect towards the end of this game. You had that 1 round where everyone at about 1 minute and 10 comes through a smoke on Rap side, gets obliterated by Fur and Fallen. This time it's, again, NIP coming through smoke at 1 minute and 10 in that middle choke point, and they're obliterated by coldzera and Fur. So questionable calls in some of these scenarios in the late game, or in the late stages of this match.
Well, do or die now for NIP. Otherwise, they get knocked down to that lower bracket. And SK Gaming, it's going to be a refreshing change from what we saw at IEM Sydney, where they got knocked themselves down into the lower bracket. Already this round starting off okay, though, for NIP, as they force bolts out of apartments, do quite a bit of damage. But with only the CZs, they need so much more.
Four players at this A bomb site, though. NIP has to find some way to force Stewie back towards the B bomb site. I don't think they're going to. They're all set up. Everyone's close towards mid. That's going to allow this 4th player to stay comfortably at the A bomb site. Fur can have a quick flank through the smoke if they do end up hitting here, but first things first, NIP has to get by this crossfire between Bolts and coldzera. Actually, Bolts wants to go find information. That's a pop flash. There's the off kill. He sprays him down, gets the damage, but not the frags, and now Fur pounces. A double kill for him, holding his composure, and coldzera is dropped by Drake, but still more challenges, and somehow NIP's doing it.
Can they do it again one more time? They might just be able to do it. Rez, another kill comes out onto Fallen, and it's a 2v1 now for Stewie to win the game for SK. But NIP, they've dragged themselves out of so many holes. And this is just another one of those. 15-13 to come up for NIP if they close this round out. A reset to the economy as well for SK Gaming, and it's their chance now to go through to an overtime as Stewie, he gets himself onto the site, but the time is ticking away. And he doesn't still know where that second player is. Surely there's no chance for him. In the end, Drake closes it out. And SK Gaming, well, that was another chance gone begging, and they're going to be left wanting, at least for one more round.
I have no idea how NIP is able to win some of these rounds. Some incredible shots coming out from the NIP players, but SK had all the advantages in that round, and again, they're right. I mean, they're in the situation where you have to ask again. That's beautiful right there. But this follow-up on the Fallen, even he's playing it pretty patiently. Rez is waiting for that, and he had those great kills towards the B-bomb site and holding off a retake as well. So he's performing very admirably in the post-plants. Timeout being called by SK. We've had this conversation. You said you feel like we've been talking about it this whole game. We kind of had. We've seen coldzera, or whoever it might be on the SK side, calling for some of these risky buys throughout this game. This one, calling a buy here. The decision is, do you want to have kind of 2 chances to win this match or 1 very good chance to win this match?
Yeah.
And that's what they have to decide right now. And there's always going to be 2 different camps to it, but they're going to go for a small investment.
Yeah, typically I'd probably be leaning on the side of what we're seeing SK Gaming do right now. You know, you get that full buy through. It is only 1 round that they need. That's what they're going to be thinking right now. So A little bit of pistol and armor. You can do some damage here. It's still not out of the realms of possibility that SK still come away with this round. And Fer going for a Mag 7 as well. No armor to come away from that. But again, I mean, that's not too bad of a decision, really. If you're going to miss that first shot with the Mag 7 anyway.
You're gonna go down even if you miss that first shot, so the armor doesn't really matter in that scenario. That's a very aggressive take of Banana from NIP. I like that. Bombing grenades towards top Banana.
Well, he's maybe got a chance ahead of him here. But Draken just decides to play passive for now. So if Fer decides to push on forward, it could be the first kill of the round here for NIP. But it's always a bit of a tense time with that Mag 7. Could go either way.
I don't think you can be aggressive if you're Fer, though. You're the only defender at this A bomb site. The real chance, the real strength of SK winning this round is forcing NIP into this B hit where there's 4 players waiting. So Fer needs to stay passive, get that kill if they were to turn the corner. But if he's the one that gets aggressive and falls, that opens up the other half of the map, and that stack towards the B bomb site is much less effective. Now, NIP is going to go through the motions we've seen them do in the previous couple rounds, take this kind of mid control. They're going to feel no presence at top mid. They're going to hear nothing. There's no counter nades. There's no spam, the things that we heard before. We'll see if that influences them to rotate back towards A.
We have a couple of players exploring the A bomb site right now. It's Dennis and Draken. They haven't spotted anything just yet. NIP not fully committed to the B site either. So there is still that possibility that they can rotate across. But Fer, well, he could really come up absolutely massive right now with that Mag 7. I mean, he's going to be checked. So there goes that dream. But SK, they've made the incorrect gamble. NIP have read the situation well, and they'll get the bomb down on A. So fairly anticlimactic round 29, but that's fine. SK, they didn't put too much into this one, and so next round is really when we'll see the fireworks.
It's a really nice patient round from NIP, though, making they clear everything out, assuming that there's a possibility there could be a force buy. So staying patiently, or a half buy at least, they'd be going up against the dangerous pistol. So they clear out the A bomb site. They don't put all their eggs in one basket. They're able to check over towards A, and they see no presence at all whatsoever as they progress into the bomb site, and they're able to make the right read. 14-15, NIP playing to come back for overtime, as SK would love to close this out at 16-14. We'll see. Round 30 is going to be coming up next. Get Right challenging. He's going to go down to Fallen. He will eventually be traded by Forest, and Bolts and coldzera would love to keep this armor. They do not want to have to reinvest into that. And they won't have to.
All right, here we go, round 30. Well, I feel like this kind of a game almost deserves an overtime, really. It's been so backwards and forwards that 15-15 would be...
So much of it has been decided by economy, though, and then you get to overtime, and you don't have to worry about that whatsoever. So that would certainly be an interesting twist where you're just going to see everything coming out.
Even still now, the buy is not amazing for SK. You know, they don't have any head armor across the board, which you can say not going to be a big deal when there's full AKs out there, but it's not all there for SK. Even still only one defuse kit as well.
I was going to say, they've also favored the double op on this defensive side with Stewie having one of them. They don't have that luxury in this round. It's only coldzera. He's got it over towards the A bomb siter, so he's going to be the rotate towards B as well. And they have this heavy mid-presence set up again for SK, as they know NIP have loved taking control of brackets, so they want to challenge for that immediately when it comes in.
A fairly default setup right now, though, for NIP. Just getting some control of apartments, making sure they're locking down the banana angle, keeping their options open, which is not too bad of a decision right now. They're not getting too hasty into either of the sites. Banana, though, starting to be explored by NIP.
But enough presence towards A to secure coldzera's position. He's sticking around at this A bomb site, so still only a 2-man defense here. There's the pop flash. Stewie wants to go hunting. The follow-up is huge. Rez somehow wins that as well. He's been stellar down the stretch for NIP.
Fallen goes down as well. A great entry out from Rez. 2 kills, in fact, and it does look certain almost now that we're going to overtime. SK, they need to retake the B bomb site in a 3 versus 5. And tell me how many times you've ever seen that happen. Now 2v5. It's almost impossible for SK to get anything done here. And it's just off the back of Rez. 2 rounds now for NIP. He's come up absolutely massive with the goods.
Yeah, we've said his name so much down the stretch, haven't we?
Yep.
4 players for NIP went into this round with 20 kills. Rez gets a double. Dennis gets 1 to put them up on top. But 15-15, we're going to overtime. A nice comeback by NIP, and they had to really grind that one. And it seems like everyone's looking over at Rez with a smile on their face, and he's sitting there calm and collected.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't you be right now? He seems to be hitting everything. It's been a pretty good team effort, really, from NIP. There's not necessarily a front runner. Obviously, we've been talking about Rez for the last few rounds, but everyone's pitching in and everyone's having an impact, really. I mean, Get Right's down there on, what, 13 kills, but the rest of them are doing work. And so it's working quite nicely for NIP. It's just the fact of who's going to come away with this overtime now that no one has to worry about the guns.
Yeah, that is going to be a MR3 16K, so you can pretty much buy anything you want throughout these rounds, and despite however many you lose. So no real worries for your economy as they've had to do throughout regulation. Going to get this kicked off into overtime. Rez leading the way for NIP, just barely by 1 kill over Dennis. It's coldzera with 25, Stewie with 21 on the SK side of things. This has been a great battle back and forth, and here we are. Double up setup back in the hands of SK. This time it's Fallen and coldzera instead of Stewie, who handled it in the opening 30 rounds when SK needed it.
Okay, NIP, let's see what you've got now that you have full weapons, full utility. Same can be said, of course, for SK with that double AWP coming in again. They just had the single AWP in the last round. As you said, they've really favored the double AWP, and it has worked out reasonably when they've had it.
This time coldzera is going to be on lane side. He's partnered up with Fur right next to the porch, or I guess Diggity, as you would call it.
That's right.
I know my things. My Australian lingo.
Should have used that in the last game when Renegades was playing. But Fur is going to get flashed out. He'll go down. coldzera is there for the trade, but needs a little bit more here. NIP starting to encroach in onto the A bomb site already. Stewie has come across though, but Rez is the one that will challenge that, and that's not a challenge you really want to be taking right now if you are Stewie, as coldzera still putting in the impact for SK, and NIP have certainly slowed things down now, needing to retrieve that bomb. Rez will go down as well. coldzera just absolutely decimating NIP right now. 3 kills so far with that AWP in this round.
He's so isolated, though. Draken has him kind of locked in, and he's actually locked Stewie out from providing assistance. Stewie's just waiting for contact towards coldzera to make the peek, and there it is through the wall. Draken gets it, a 2-on-2. NIP again have fought themselves back into this. coldzera with 3 kills, and he's finally silenced. This bomb will get planted, but it's not safe. They can actually peek this from lane, and there it is. Mistake from Get Right down the stretch. Needed to get into the bomb site. They didn't have the lane secured, and Stewie's there for the pounce. Draken's going to bait him out into the open. Somehow recovers.
Rotation.
The new positioning from Fallen, and he's going to turn the... No, he's not.
Well, now Fallen has an interesting time ahead of him, but Draken's got no idea. Oh, man. That round could have really been something. Draken hits a great shot onto Stewie, but in the end, SK Gaming come away with the round win, and one gun alive, it's not really too big of a problem, given we've got that MR3 16K, but that was another close round.
That was a bit wild. SK has to be really, really worried for some of these rounds. We saw it happen in the second half as well, is just when they have all the advantages, like somehow NIP's able to come back into these rounds, and it seems like SK's kind of dropping the ball on some of the late stage kills, the trading, the positioning, even going, 2-3 man down. NIP's able to have the correct position to make a bid for it no matter what.
Well, another round ahead of us. NIP once more, just with this single AWP, of course. Draken's having a look, and Bolts is going to wisely decide to back off here. Does get a little bit of damage done with that HE nade, but again, it's NIP grouping up towards the A side, and again, it's coldzera having the impact. This time, the AWP, I mean, 2 rounds in a row. He's been able to do some good work, and Fur in a very, very interesting position here. He's going to spot the bomb out. Forrest gets the kill, though. Great flick across from the T side, and NIP still in with a chance here. Trying to make their way into that A bomb site.
I think Fur's going to be scratching his head how he doesn't get that kill. I feel like I could have said that multiple times throughout this game. He's had a really tough point at times, but Bolts, he doubles him up. Rez eventually trades it off, but surely they can't come back from this. Forrest at 9 HP, drops the bomb out in the open.
It's a repeat, really, of the last round, isn't it? But this time...
the decision is made.
Yeah, no open plan for NIP, and they had a lot more time to work with as well. So the bomb goes down for NIP, which is a little better than the last round, but for SK Gaming, they've also got an extra player on the last round. So it's about even as far as that is concerned. But in a 3 versus 2 right now, you have to favor SK. They do have the double AWP trying to retake, which is perhaps a little problematic, but a lot of utility that they can use to get themselves in, and Forrest is forced out of position. A good Molotov comes in from SK, and now it's all on Rez. The hero for NIP, but not this time. SK secure another one.
Just too many bodies to throw at him from too many different angles. You can't ask that much out of Rez. It's starting to get some smiles on the face of SK, and even Fur maybe laughing about him coming through the smoke and Perhaps should have been able to find that kill onto Forest. 17-15. SK have recovered nicely into this overtime. They've got a 2-0 run, trying to blank NIP in the first half of OT, and that would be huge if they're able to pull that off. Because remember, I think they had, what, an 8-7 half on their T side in the first half?
Yeah, it was 8-7.
So they've obviously had some success on the offense that they could be able to replicate, and they'd only need to do it once. So big round from NIP to give themselves some breathing room.
Big nade stack out from NIP there. Not going to net them too much. SK not playing so aggressively into Banana, but the Incendiary gets the kill on the Forest. And this is not the start to the round that NIP needed. They're already down 2 so far in the overtime. If they go down 3-0, it's really hard to claw back from that, even on the CT side.
It's not just the loss of Forest that's really hurting NIP, it's the presence in Banana. They don't have control of it. They don't have any presence, and now with Forest being gone, it's just too late in the round for Draken to kind of make that presence all on his own. With an AWP, with the bomb, he can do nothing all on his lonesome, so they're forced to go over towards that A bomb site. Now you're going to see Stewie start rotating, so pretty soon, SK is going to have a very powerful defense over at the A bomb site.
Yeah, and the A side has been really a stronghold for SK throughout overtime so far. coldzera, the king of that castle. This time Fer able to come in with one, Stewie another, and NIP, they're just going up against SK, and SK's playing that trade game, which is exactly what they need to be doing.
A really nice bait setup from Fer and Stewie. They had no idea that Stewie was going to be able to be right there and turn the corner that quickly, so it's got to be a miracle out of Get Right and Draken with the AWP wrapping on the bomb all by himself. Perhaps realizing because Stewie's here, there's only one player at the B bomb site. If he can find this kill, he can open up the other side of the map, and straight to the face, Stewie goes down.
Yeah, but NIP deciding to stay, at least from the moment, on the A bomb site. But they do have only 20 seconds left to work with, and Get Right, if he doesn't find a kill here, might just be all over.
There's utility to give Get Right the opportunity, but he catches that flashbang right at the end. Some extra hang time, but he finds it anyways. Jumping up, and Draken does it again. This has been a miraculous sequence of decision-making from Draken and Get Right, and they've got themselves a 2-on-1.
Just seems impossible to call how any of these rounds will play out. In the end now, just Fallen left alive for SK, and not for too much longer as Get Right closes it out, and it seemed sure that that was going to be an SK round. But in the end, 17-16, so 2-1 after the first half.
This is so crazy, though, because the SKs, their strength of why they were such a good team for 2 years was how well they played post plants. We don't see them lose 2-on-4s, and we've seen them do it multiple times in this map alone. This is quite a... I mean, NIP's done a great job of coming back in some of these rounds, but you have to say SK, when they rewatch this demo, if they rewatch this demo, they're going to notice some mistakes being made in the post plants.
Sure, for sure. But they've still got a good chance of winning this one, getting 2. They are in the lead, but moving over onto the T side, I mean, it's kind of hard to say, really, who comes out of that with an advantage. Obviously, we did see a little bit more rounds out of the T side for both, but realistically speaking, it was 8-7, so not much to really comment on there. Still, I don't even know. I'm not sure. This one could go either way. Even OT2 wouldn't be a surprise at this point.
Fallen's going to lead the way up Banana. Take control, Dennis. That is a ballsy peek, and he's going to get dropped. He pays for his insolence, and NIP again playing from a 4-on-5.
It's the start that SK wants. coldzera really starting to put his foot down in this overtime. He had a great impact holding the A bomb site with the AWP, and now finding the first kill of the second half.
Got 31 frags now as well. He's doing a very, very good game.
It was pretty even across the board for SK until overtime, and now coldzera's on 31, everyone else is on 20, roughly. So he's really pulled out ahead. And that might be just the difference that SK needs now to finally close this map out.
We'll see a standard B hit coming in. Smoke comes out. They're going to go through that, though. Molotov's on the ground for NIP. We'll see what progress can be made. Stewie's going to put up the smoke. He's going to go right through it. Another Molotov, though, and he actually circles around. Rez has no idea. He's blind. He can't hear anything. Knife out for the moment, but Stewie recovers. Still one player inside the bomb site. Get Right, trying to hold things down behind this wall of smokes. That's a good pre-fire kill. Surely he's going to be taken out now as the flames creep in, but it's a 2-on-2.
Bomb not yet down for SK either. It is being planted, but it allows a lot of time for the retake here for NIP, and they both, of course, have got some kits. There's some utility there as well for Draken. There's a chance for NIP to make this one work, but at the moment holding stable, waiting to see if there's going to be any pick presented to them by SK, although SK very disciplined right now, not peeking their angles, and it's really going to be on to NIP to try and make this one work, and that timer ticking away quite quickly. Forest needs to make his move now, and that molly could just forced the play here for SK Gaming. In the end, a 1-for-1. It's not enough for NIP to make this one work. And Draken, well, that smoke's not going to give him much of an advantage at all, as Stewie will be, or just his presence is going to be enough to shut this round down. In the end, everyone's going to lose everything, but SK will be happy. They come away with the round win. And 1 round away now from closing out the map.
18-16, that is really well done and so tough. Dennis takes that early peek. A nice job from Stewie wrapping around, and they're able to take that B bomb site with relative ease. Do lose a couple players down the stretch, but 1 round away from securing this map against NIP. And this has been a grinding, hard-fought map. This is going to be one of those exhausting games that you get done and you just have a nice little exhale.
The benefit, at least for SK, is that because they're in Group B, they don't have to play another game today. The other matches coming up are all Group A matches, so they can take a rest. They'll play their next game tomorrow. So there is that, at least.
That must be very nice.
But at least, I mean, or at least fair.
That's the silver lining, though, right?
You don't really want to be having a game like this regardless. But there is, yeah, I guess that small silver lining. Still, though, for NIP, they don't want to let this one drop right now, although we might have other ideas. Can't land the 2-man spray down, but does well to get the first. In a 4v4, you would traditionally say that favors the T's just a little bit.
Actually, Draken calls Dennis off of the rotation over towards the B bomb site. I think Draken wants to get set up as the AWPer at the car so that GetRight can rotate back towards A and actually assist. He definitely wants to find the equalizing frag here. Smoke is going to go down, which means he can't get that deep angle, which means GetRight, he's actually going to rotate anyways. Tough part for NIP at the moment in this defense is that they have force inside the bomb site. They had no one in pit, and Dennis is going to be blinded. And he'll have to run the gauntlet if he wants to get into that better position. They're going to double up in the bomb site, so Lane is susceptible. And GetRight is all alone watching Rap, and he's got Fur lurking inside the smoke. Good dink onto Fallen, down to 2 health. Fur listening for the reload. He catches him, he catches GetRight in the open, that's huge. Nicely done from Fern, rotating back towards the B bomb site. Draken is prepared.
It's just backwards and forwards throughout this map, throughout this round. Even Forrest finds another one, and we're into a 2v2 with 23 seconds on the clock. Fur, if he goes down right now, that's probably round over. But he does get the kill. Forrest is dropped, and Draken needs to find the 1v2 clutch to keep NIP alive in this map. Slowly making his way over towards the A-bomb site. And the smoke goes down, which is going to be very problematic here for Drake, and he doesn't really have time to rotate across. He needs to have a look through. There is a small hole for him to work with, but Ferro is going to be watching right as he walks through, and it's going to be 19-16 SK Gaming to close out the map. And it's taken them a long, long time indeed, but they'll be happy, finally, to be able to close the map out.
They were dominant once we got to overtime, and they never had to worry about money. That was such an economic struggle through regulation. And to end it, everyone gets 16K. Very well done. SK favoring that double op setup on the defense still. But a nice nice map all around from everyone on the SK side of things. coldzera ends with 32 kills. It's Stewie on 26, and everyone outside of that is over 20. So a team effort, as these usually are, you know, when you win in this kind of an overtime. And NIP kind of looks stunned. So obviously they haven't realized that they don't have to play till tomorrow quite yet. Someone will tell them, and they'll probably rejoice. Regardless, our desk is rejoicing, and we're going to go to them right now.
Thank you so much, Jason. Yes, indeed, an elfish guy there. Lots of interesting conversations going to be sparked off the back of this one. We also, you know, some people, perhaps the host of the desk, suggested SK will eventually find their foot. Perhaps not necessarily right now, though. And maybe I predicted NIP. You
did predict NIP, so you can't like talk up one team, predict another, and then land in the middle. But the fact of the matter was that was a very close game. Jason's bang on with the economic struggles there. NIP winning some rounds that they probably shouldn't. SK with the same.
Vice versa,
The big standouts for me, in regulation, it was weird seeing Stewie as part of the double AWP setup with Fallen on the B bomb site, right? Stewie has the AWP, Fallen has an M4, coldzera over towards A has an AWP.
I get the feeling, Jacob, was that a point that you were planning on making as well?
Yeah, no, it's just the fact that it blasts me.
I just watched his face.
Mind blows me the fact when you have two AVP players on SK and neither of them are Fallen, you know, and the smart guy out there would probably say, hey, Jacob, it's because he wants to be that support role and he's so good at it. And yeah, that may be true, but he shouldn't be. Fallen should be an AVP player, especially on Inferno, which is one of those maps where you're always in like close distant duels with up, and that's where Fallen excels from all the other AVP players. He's the best in the world at these close-up duels, and you don't get to do that on Inferno. It's just a wasted potential, especially when you have Stewie 2K on a rifle, who is one of the best best rifles in the entire world when he wants to be. So I don't get it. It's sort of like, yeah, I want to be good for my team. In this case, Fallen just tells you to shut up and bring up that rifle.
Or Cold. I mean, Cold's maybe this is Cold's call.
Cold is obviously with the new in-game leadership stuff. I think we'll get into with Trace. We'll get a few more answers to the questions, but. Looking at this, there's some factors which kind of stand out to me. One is how, I guess, assertive and aggressive Stewie is as a player. Now, the stats kind of show that he is doing the majority of that. He had 12 duels in this that were considered opening duels, 8 successful, 4 that he was unable to convert. But when you look at that and you think about that as a stat, who is the player that comes to mind in this SK roster who's synonymous with doing that? It's Fer. Now, he hasn't had anywhere near as many opportunities. It could be a map thing, you know, it's a positional thing. There's so many factors like that. But as we learn about this team and how they want to progress, I think certain players are going to be forced to change their play style. And after we saw how it worked with Phelps and Fer in the team, that was too much aggression coming out of them. So it's a good win by SK, a good start for them this time around, better than what we saw in Sydney. Obviously, NIP, they're a team who I would be considering to get to the top 6.
Sure.
So it's a big victory, I think.
I do just want to kind of use the full advantage of these advanced statistics that HSW have been pumping out, because check this out. Cold Zero, you know, we say he's an incredible player. He's taken the leadership role, but look at the categories here. He's 6 out of 6 on opening duels that he participated in. He's got 8 multi-kills in this game. He has 32 frags, great. He's also got 6 normal assists and 5 flash assists. He's also flashing for his teammates while killing everyone, while doing nearly 90 ADR, whilst clutching, whilst winning opening duels. I mean,
positive sign.
And he's leading.
Yeah.
I don't know how he doesn't get a little bit stressed. I think I'd probably, you know, be looking like a 67-year-old man trying to do all of that at the same time.
I think it will be in the future, though. I don't think that's something he can keep up doing game after game after game. And what we know Coldzera for being one of the best players in the world is his consistency. And I think that's what you're dragging away from him now. Like, you're going to make him more inconsistent while having all these roles to participate in. And that's a problem for SK, because that's also what we know them for, like being consistent. And pretty much all tournaments, always wrapping up a top 4 finish or final finish for that matter.
Yeah, and we will continue to talk about this one. But first, I want to seize the opportunity, because word on the street is we do have Stewie, the newest man in the SK Gaming jersey, standing by with Stunner. Now, we hopefully will get the answer to some of the questions we have about how that leadership change is going down and more. Over to you, Trace.
Thank you, Alex. Now, I don't normally have the answers. We know that. But this man might just have them. And, you know, for all it's worth, you guys put up a hell of a fight here on Inferno. Let's talk a little bit about the system you guys have inside house right now, right? So, Cold is calling. And notoriously, this has been a Fallen-driven ship. Talk to me about what's going on within the camp.
It's kind of like a two-way street. I think they both have leadership qualities, and they work different ways, but I think if they combine it together, then we would work well. But right now, we're seeing both sides of Fallen, how he likes to lead the team, and how Cold likes to lead the team. There's both pros and cons, but I think if we mix it together, we can be a lot better, but it's going to take a lot of time.
Well, time is something that, you know, you guys have given yourself. You went back to the drawing boards. You tried to find what works. One question I have from this matchup, at least, talk to me about you picking up the AWP rather than Fallen.
Yeah, I realized that during regulation, they were starting to come back, but they were going A a lot. And I'm the B player, so I asked him if I could opt B, and it's better if he just plays A with them. And it started working out at the start, but we stopped doing it. I think we won some rounds that they won some rounds that they shouldn't have in regulation to bring OT. So it's a bad performance by us, but we were able to close it out. So I guess it was good at the end.
It all kind of came together, didn't it? Now, the last question I have for you, Stu, is this. I talked to you yesterday about just the mindset, how you're feeling going into this tournament. And you said if you guys get over NIP here in the beginning of the tournament, you're poised for a good future going forward. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I do. I think we were looking a little too far forward. We were trying to think about the stage too much, but we can't even get past group stage. We can't even win the first few games. So I think we got to take it game by game. We beat NIP now. We just got to win one more to make it on stage, I think. And, yeah, got to take care of business.
Take care of business, and that almost deserves a dab, but we don't do that here at the ESL Pro. Oh, no, man. Anyway, Alex, please save me from this.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a no dabbing rule. I don't know if he got the memo. I'm pot kettle black here a little bit. I
break the rule all the time.
I do, but off air, I know the rules.
We're going to start like a little piggy bank.
I do think we have to kind of, someone needs to tell Stewie who their next game is against.
Against Astralis, that's going to be a rough one.
So, by all means, the big win versus NIP, and NIP have been looking good, but also you're making mistakes
that's
versus
big business to
get
take
right
care
who
of.
Reloads in the open. Imagine what's going to happen versus an Astralis that are in form.
It's going to be rough. I think Stewie just murkied the water a little bit more as terms of the leadership stuff. He just went, here's the question. I'm going to make it hard for everybody at home to understand what's going on.
Basically, Stewie, who's leading SK right now? Well, you know, Cold and Fallen, both good in-game leaders. It's like, oh,
come on, Stu.
give us something. Okay, I'm being told I need to get this out, and because we've got more Counter-Strike to cover. Best of 3 up next. That's right, the best of 1's done and dusted. I'll be back with our analysts talking about Mouse Sports versus FaZe Clan. You don't want to miss this.